Hey everybody, this is Phebe Meer, and you are watching Into the Flow podcast. It looks like the weather is nice in California.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's 75 degrees and sunny right now.
Oh man, it's
amazing.
We're looking at maybe a little bit of rain here in Texas. So it's cloudy out right now. Wanted to be outside, but So how's it going?
Really
how's your
humid.
day going?
It's going great so far. We're getting ready for a bunch of new hires. Got 4 guys starting on Monday, so tomorrow. So it's going to be a fun day tomorrow. I've trained 3 guys at the most at one time, and that was interesting. And now tomorrow I'm going to try out 4.
I meant to ask you about that. Well, first I wanted to go ahead and say thank you for taking some time to chat with us on the ITF Into the Flow podcast. It's really more of a discussion where we just chat with interesting people and, just share ideas with all the members of Into the Flow. I mean, we're a community about supporting people and sharing ideas and not at all focused on tearing people down. And so you seem like a great candidate for this interview. And I wanted to start off by saying we met each other. I want to say that maybe we met each other at the huge convention briefly, but it's not a clear memory to me. But then we definitely officially met at the IWCA convention in 2020.
Yeah. So it was actually a little embarrassing on the way we actually met the first time. It was in the men's restroom. Like, we just bumped into each other, and it's like, "Oh, hey, Phebe, how's it going? I'm Jeff." And we're like, "Oh, yeah." It was just a quick little interaction, and I left, and I was just like, that was probably the most awkward introduction I've ever had.
So was the huge convention, that was in Atlanta, right? Or was that
I think that was the Branson one.
Branson?
Yeah,
Okay.
because the Atlanta one was the first time I ever went to a convention, and I don't think I was part of Into the Flow yet on that, that one. That was 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago now.
Gotcha. I'm actually losing track. So the first convention I went to Sarah and I went to, was in Louisiana, in Louisiana. And then we went to the Atlanta one, and then we went to the Branson convention, all of which were great experiences. I don't think we would have, it was kind of an interesting experience, just allowing ourselves to give ourselves permission to do that, because you're like, it's going to cost money. We're going to be actually separating ourselves from the business. It was kind of scary. So, but yeah, I remember. And then, so we officially met at the 2020 IWCA convention, which was a great convention where you won the speed contest.
I did.
I think you caught everyone by surprise because, you were training. You were up there and he was training us. Jeremiah Hickey was training us on how to be. I was like, he looks pretty good. He looks pretty fast, but I think I could probably beat him. And then on the day that we did the final, you just flipped a switch.
I surprised myself. I had no idea. That first round, I felt like I did okay. Well, first off, the first time I ever did it was last year at the IWCA, and Meaghan, my wife, she signed me up and didn't tell me about it. And it's like, "Oh, by the way, you're doing the speed competition." I was like, no. And then she didn't even stay for the convention. She signed me up and left.
What?
And I was like, okay, I'm by myself. I don't know anybody. And that was the year Jeremiah won. And I did horrible. It was embarrassing. I think there wasn't that many contestants, but I placed down at the bottom. But this year, payback, I signed Meaghan up since they opened it up to the women, and I was just like, "Yep, you're going to do it this year. You have no choice. You're going to try it." And at her office, she actually has like 3 little windows, and she's like, "Well, you got to teach me how to do it. And I was like, I got to teach myself. And over the years, like I've always practiced it. My buddy who got me into this, like we'd always play around and try to do the speed competition on sliding glass doors and stuff, but never thought I'd actually compete in it. But she has 3 little windows, and I was like, all right, this would be perfect. So I kind of got the basic idea of, you know, how to do it pretty quickly and not embarrass myself this year. And yeah, when I did my practice rounds, I was like, okay, this is pretty good. At least I'll make it somewhere. And you know, there's some really good people there. Clayton, who's with Fish Window Cleaning, he won it 2 years ago. And when I saw him, I was like, last year, I was just like, oh, there's no way I could do this. This is embarrassing. And when I saw him this year, I think he did it like 12 seconds flat. And I was like, yeah, no, it's over. It did after the first round. Meaghan just told me, she's like, you got this. All you got to do is just think fast. And so I went up, and you know, everything kind of goes blank behind you, and you're just focused on those 3 windows. And as I was going, I was like, okay, I'm going pretty fast. And then I just hear everybody behind me just cheering, and I was just like, okay, I think I did a little better. And I was like, that's still probably didn't cut it. And then when all this is done, everyone's like, yep, you won. I was like, oh, wow, cool.
It was a smooth run. I remember watching the videos. Like, I'm trying to remember exactly why I did not watch all the contestants, but I remember doing the first run and then the second run, and then Sarah and I wanted to go and check out some booths or something like that. And but I saw the video, and it was super smooth. Did you actually build a replica to train on, or?
Not yet. I did actually just receive 3 panes of glass, so I have those. The length of my shed is perfect, I think, so I could place them up on those. I'm just trying to figure out how to build frames. That's something I've never tried to do before, so I think I'm gonna go to a fabricator and see if they could get me something built. It's like I kind of want it to be somewhat identical and close to the competition standards, and I just think it's going to be fun for all my team members to, you know, play around with it and have them train and possibly take them to the convention and have them compete in it.
So since that speed competition, I mean, so first of all, you and Meaghan seem like such a power couple. Like you two have, I mean, you're such an influence, and you're so supportive and helpful in the industry. And I was just curious to know how, after winning that, how have you used, because Jeremiah, when he talks about he said, hey, Phebe, you're thinking about this too much. Just go and have fun. He says, don't even try to win. He says, give it your best shot, because it's really not so much about the winning. It's about what it can do for your business. It's great marketing. And I think that is really what allowed me to let go enough to allow myself to just go and try it. And because before then I was like, there's no way I'm going to win. I didn't train for this. And I was just kind of like my own big obstacle. And then I was like, okay, you know what? This is going to give me an opportunity to hang out with you, get to meet a bunch of other window cleaners and have fun. And then maybe turn this into some marketing. So I'm just curious how you and Meaghan have since turned that into something that you use for marketing.
We tried, it's kind of a sore subject. I'm friends with the editor of our paper, and he was just like, yeah, we're going to get it in. We're going to get it published. We're going to get you on the front page. Like, I have breakfast with this guy every Friday mornings, and he's not the editor, but he's like head of the paper. And we submitted it to our local paper and never heard a word back. And we got it out there on a couple of things, but like people just didn't want to pick it up. And then coronavirus happened, and it was just like, okay, that's on the back burner. We'll play with it at a later time. But it's fun because I it's on my website, I believe. All the new hires I do, I show them the video and tell them like, hey, it's cool. You get to work for one of the world's fastest window cleaners. You get to get trained by that person, and we're trying to market it other ways, and hopefully later down the road it will come back again. But yeah, the coronavirus just kind of put a stop to a lot of things.
You know, it seems like the convention was years ago, doesn't it? Like,
yeah.
We met, it was the same year, and then all this stuff started happening and coronavirus hit, and it honestly feels like it's been years since I've seen you. It's been years since, you know, I'm just blown away. But and that actually was something I wanted to chat with you about, because you all had to lay off everybody at some point, and now you're building your teams back up again. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about that process, because it sounds like you have your hands full, and Sarah and I are working on training a new person right now, but we don't have any official systems. It was, right now we're doing in the field, on the job training, and we very much want to start building a training system, an employee onboarding system. And I was hoping maybe you could shed some light on what y'all do.
Yeah, so there's that age-old question that everybody asks you, like, if you could start your business over again, what would you do differently? And you know, that's kind of what the coronavirus did. It gave us a chance to start completely over. So you know, the employees that I had, it was sad that I had to lay them off. It was a very sad day. I think I actually did cry. But you know, a few of the employees I wasn't too happy with or thrilled about. So it gave me a chance to kind of weed them out. And I went solo by myself for a couple of weeks, but then things started picking up again. So I brought back 2 other employees that I actually wanted to keep, and they came right back. But that time, it gave me all this time to really focus on my systems. Meaghan's been, I think, over a year now, has been trying to get me to build up this training program. So we've been really working on that. And Trainual, have you ever heard of that?
I think I might have. So I might have seen it.
Okay.
So, but I don't know that much about it. Trainual?
Trainual. Yeah, it's this web platform. It gives you the whole entire platform of creating a whole entire training program. So you can insert videos, GIFs, pictures, and it's all sections. You could create tests. It's just an amazing platform. So I'm not really big into videos or making videos, and this actually pulled me out of my shell, and I created training videos on how to clean gutters, how to clean a window from step 1 to step 10, how to use a water-fed pole, how to clean solar panels. I've just been creating all these different videos. So that time that I laid everybody off, I just set up my video camera and just started filming. And you know, people with iPhones, iMovies is such a great tool. It's really easy to use and create your own videos. And I was able to upload those on YouTube and put them into my Trainual platform. And now we actually have a training process that we can have a guy trained within 5 days and know what he is going to be doing once he's out with another truck.
And that's pretty powerful. I mean, because I'm still out, and so you've been able, so I'm still out in the field training. I'm still spending a lot of my personal time training people out in the field, and it's not necessarily structured. It's all over the place. It's, oh, you know what, while we're here, we'll go ahead and train you on French windows, or, you know, but what you've done is now you've freed up yourself some time where you can actually take one of your senior techs and say, hey, could you run through the videos with the new person or the new group and answer any questions that they have. And then you also have the quizzes to back it up, to make sure
Yeah.
that they understand what they've learned, because so many times you'll say it verbally or you'll give them a direction, and a day or two afterwards, you'll actually observe them doing it incorrectly. But now you can actually reinforce it with the quiz, and then you can allow them to go back and review it anytime they want.
Well, the great thing with Trainual is that it's an app form. So the new techs, they have this on their phones at all times. So if they get stuck on something, they just pull up their app, research, go back to that section on like, oh, what was this next step? Or I forgot, like, how do I scrub this solar panel? And like, they could just go back and watch these videos. So they have access to it 24/7.
I think I'm sold. I'm gonna have to check it out. I'm literally like the biggest obstacle in our business, I think, because I sometimes all too often let perfection become the enemy of good.
Yeah.
And I need to step out of my own way and just focus on the systems. And I think that's our number one goal, is to focus on the system. So I'm glad you brought up Trainual. I think we're gonna.
There's so many great systems out there that you could use in your business. We just last night I spent almost all day Bamboo HR. So it's an HR software, another app base that the employees have access to, but it keeps all their personal files. So when you do bring on a new hire, instead of having a folder of all this paperwork, it's all in this app. And if they want to ask for time off, they have to go on the app and it gets submitted. It goes to me and I approve it. So it's another thing that we're starting to learn, and I'm completely sold on it. So our goal is to kind of become completely paperless and just have these systems in place where, I don't have to be around. I could just do it from the touch of a button and everything would run pretty smoothly.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool. So we have, like, I guess you call it Google Drive, or what's it called?
Mm-hmm.
Google Sheets,
Yeah.
or it's some sort of web document type thing. And if the employees want to request time off, they have to get that form. But it doesn't notify me. I don't think it might send us an email letting us know. We actually used it for the whole COVID-19 quiz, which Gabriel Gutierrez had come up with the list of questions. And
yeah, I think Meaghan's using that as well.
Yeah, so whenever
we're doing it for our staff.
and I'm sure you could probably use the Bamboo HR app format for submitting that to clients.
Yeah. There's, like I said, there's just so many different things, tools out there to help small businesses really run a smooth business.
So you said you're using an iPhone for your camera, right? You're not using a different kind of camera?
No, I do everything from my phone. Meaghan likes to joke around. She says I'm allergic to computers. I have a Chromebook, just access to internet. That's my laptop, my computer. Everything I do is basically from an iPhone. So taking videos, pictures, and all that, I do everything on that. Writing things out, it's all done on my phone.
So would you say that you got a lot of these ideas at the IWCA Convention, or was this something that you and Meaghan were already looking at?
So we use Responsibid. I know you guys have looked into that, or you guys are using it as well.
Not as well versed as you all. I mean, we've had it for a while, but we actually haven't been using it like we should. It was like a Ferrari sitting in the driveway, and it's been sitting there for a long time collecting dust. And now we're finally driving it around. Yeah.
Oh, it's great. What they've done with that is just amazing. It's just a really cool tool. It sells itself. So people go online, they put in all their information. They book and schedule the jobs all by themselves without even having to call in. And it's brutal getting it all set up. Meaghan spent days getting it all set up with all the numbers and stuff. But once you get those numbers accurate, it sells everything for you, and it makes my office manager's life a lot easier. The crew cal function is just amazing in it, and it will look at all the jobs based on that person's address and find what's close in the neighborhood. So like it keeps drive time down, and it's just this smart system that works very well with other calendaring systems.
So,
But they try to not make you, but they want you to use a lot of videos in it to try to upsell, because that's the key is videos nowadays. So I think that's what kind of broke me out of my shell, because I finally did a video for my response bid, and it just kind of explains to the clients like, oh, this is what to expect, and this is why this is that, and this is that. So once I started making those videos, I was just like, oh, I could make videos for my training programs. And then my mind just started working, and like I started picturing like, okay, I want to set the camera here and videotape this stuff, and then move the camera over here and just get this stuff. And the way I created the videos are just really cool. But yeah, I'm not a big video person, and it got me out of my shell. And when I do go record a video, like just talking to it, I actually have to go drive somewhere in a quiet, private location so nobody's around watching me. And like, okay, and you wouldn't think I was embarrassed of it, but I'm still scared of the camera.
so it was a response bid that actually led you down that path to.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so we just, I want to say, started using it in earnest for the last 3 weeks, a month maybe.
Okay.
Again, we were aware of other folks in the industry using it, Amber Jones, and
Yeah.
and so we just, it was one of those things where we just weren't freeing ourselves up enough time to out of the field to work on these systems, because we've got 3 kids. It's like, okay, we have a full day. Sometimes we get home at 6:30 or 7, and then it's pretty much dinner time. Talk to the kids, put the kids to bed. But so I wanted to ask you, I'm not sure I know about your story. How long have you been in business, and what got you into the window cleaning industry?
We started in 2007, so pretty much when the market crashed. We were like, hey, let's start a business. It's like, okay, people were looking at us like, you're crazy, you're not going to survive. And sure enough, people wanted their windows cleaned, and it just got busier and busier. So I started back in 2006. I was living in South Lake Tahoe. My buddy was cleaning windows, and I worked at a ski shop with him in the wintertime, and he would just bug me like, hey, you should come clean windows with me in the summertime. And at that point, I was just like, cleaning windows, it just reminded me of like a homeless guy on the side of the road, like, hey, I'll clean your windows for some change. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound fun. And my summer job was working at Quiznos making sandwiches. And it was just like, finally, yeah, I was like, that's even better. Finally, I was over Quiznos, and I told him, I was like, all right, I'll work. Let's see what it's all about. And it was just amazing. We were doing 3-story homes on the sides of cliffs with 40-foot ladders, and it was just like, wait, this is window cleaning? We're going to all these mansions and cleaning big giant plate windows? Like, wow, this is really cool. So yeah, I got my experience really quick, and this is even before I even knew what water-fed pull was. If we had that back in the day, then it would have made our lives a lot easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did that for a summer, and met my wife in Tahoe. She was actually going to school down here at UC Davis, and she was like, well, I got to go back to school. So if you want, you can move down there with me. And I said, yeah, sure. What the heck? I'll move to California, or move off the hill and see what I could do down here. And I started working for a guy in Sacramento who moved a little further than the drive time I wanted to do. So I told him, I was like, sorry, man, I can't do this. It's not working out. And he had a stack ladder set, and he absolutely hated it. And that's all we used in Tahoe. He's like, I see you love this ladder. I'll sell it to you. And, you know, stack ladders are pretty pricey, and being 26 years old with like barely a job, you don't really have that much money to afford that. And I was like, well, how much do you want to sell it for? And he's like, how about $500? And it was 4.5 pieces. I was just like, called up Meaghan, like, hey, we've been talking about starting something. And I was like, hey, he wants to sell me this ladder for $500. And she's like, yeah, buy it. So I wrote him a check, went and passed out some flyers in this neighborhood. And the first job I landed was $450. So it basically paid for the ladder itself. And
Nice.
I was working in the parks department during the summertime, from 6 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I would go clean windows after that, just kind of build up my client list. And finally, we're just like, this is when Groupon became a thing. And we're like, let's run a Groupon, see how that works. And people, if you don't do Groupon right, it won't work for you. But there's certain ways and tricks you can do to really make it successful. We did it one time. I'll never do it again. I didn't make any money off of it. But the Groupons I sold, I told those clients, like, hey, this is what it would normally cost. If you book right now for next year, I'll give you 20% off the full price. And they booked right away. So my calendar for the following year filled up. And then I pushed Groupon out of the way, and then it was just full-time window cleaning. And every year it just gets bigger and bigger. And I hired my brother-in-law during that Groupon time, and he made more money than I did that year. Basically, all the money I made from Groupon, I gave to him, and he lived with us. So he had rent-free, food-free, everything. And he just really, we put him through the police academy, basically. So now he's a sheriff in Riverside. But yeah, like I said, it just keeps bigger and bigger, and every year. And now we're at 3 trucks. We wanted to go to 4 trucks this year, but COVID pushed things back, and now we're finally. I think our goal is in 2 weeks I will have 3 trucks up and running, and I shouldn't be around.
So, what were the things that you and Meaghan did to attract the pool of clients that you eventually winnowed down into the team that you're training right now?
The clients that we attracted?
No, I'm sorry, the new technicians, the new hires. So like I saw recently a post from Meaghan, and she was talking about how y'all are getting ready to go on vacation, I think it was.
Yeah.
A much deserved, well-deserved vacation. But then she also said something about she'd been helping you teaming up to work on kind of an onboarding process of hiring some people. I was just curious to learn more about that.
It's so the job listing, we did it through Indeed. We paid, I think, a couple $100 just for a short period of time to try to collect as many leads as we can within our time frame. And it's pretty much how you word it. You really have to word it for the millennials nowadays, or even younger than millennials, because they'll look at an ad that says, oh, must have this, must have that, must be qualified in this, and they'll just go the other way. And in all honesty, like with window cleaning, you have to train anybody to become a window cleaner. You just need to find a good, reliable person. So It's really how you word it to them. I think our ad says like, hey, do you want to be a rock star ninja window cleaner and work for the world's fastest window cleaner of 2020 and get trained by the best? And we just, instead of saying like you must have all this, we tell them what we offer. So like all our incentives, our health insurance, get bonuses like once a week, and get to spin a cool spin wheel and really make some money, and just listing all the fun stuff about our job and instead of the bad stuff.
So had Meaghan not signed you up for that speed contest, that first speed contest, you would never have won the competition, and you wouldn't have such an potential appeal. Like it's pretty appealing that the folks that you're hiring now are working for the fastest window cleaners.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
But like I said, I've known about this contest ever since I started window cleaning. It was just, I never knew I'd actually compete in it, and I never knew about ever going to conventions. But like I said, my buddy and I, we would just practice side by side and race each other. And so we had an idea of how to do it, but we didn't,
right.
Until Jeremiah Hickey, gave pointers. It was like, oh, okay, this makes more sense. And
right.
Yeah, now it's just a matter of practicing that technique.
But you wouldn't have, I would not have imagined that one of the benefits of winning would be, being able to tell a pool of clients that they potentially, one of the cool things about working for you is that fact. I mean, that's pretty neat.
I never imagined I'd be telling people that. I still can't believe it. It's been 6 months now, and it's like I'm still on a cloud. Like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah. And then you may not have known about, so when you went to your first convention, a huge convention, you probably didn't know about Responsibility before that convention, or did you already know?
So Meaghan heard about this. We've known that there's been conventions, but we were 10 years in business, and we were in our own bubble. We never talked to any other window cleaners. Like I've met a couple of the other local window cleaners, and never really had a good relationship with them. Never had a relationship at all. Like I'd see one and I'd stop and talk to them every once in a while, but never give ideas or share any pointers with each other. And somebody told Meaghan about the huge convention, and she's like, oh yeah, you should go. There's this software summit that they were having. And at that time, my office manager was like, you need a new calendaring system. Like, I hate the one we have right now. So go find something. This is a great opportunity. Because of the software summit, there was Jobber was there, Responsibid, QDS, quality driven software. And I told Meaghan, I was like, you have to come with me. I'm not going by myself. And she was busy with work, and she's like, I'm not going to go to Atlanta in the middle of August with you during one of my deadlines. And she's like, well, I'm not going to be able to figure any of this out by myself. I need help. And she's like, okay. And I took her, and she was just blown away. And we met everybody there that was in the same predicament we were, like same problems, same issues. And we're just like, wow, this is really cool. And that just opened our eyes up to all these other conventions. And Meaghan, she got super inspired by it, and she's now speaking at a lot of these. So she's really enjoying that.
Yeah, and now you're looking at potentially not having to be in the field as much, which is going to allow you to focus on some of the bigger business projects. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, that was kind of the same thing with Sarah and I. We heard about the huge convention, but I knew that if I was going to go by myself, I would probably not absorb, much of it, and not know how to apply it as well as if we had two minds working together on it.
Exactly.
So we went to the first convention in New Orleans, and we took some classes together, but then we split up to try to maximize the exposure. And then we met a lot of really cool people. We learned about Responsibid. and we just, I think Michael Geller, or sometimes I get his last name confused.
I
Michael
think, yeah,
Geller
I
met
think it's
just a
Geller.
bunch of people, and you're right. A lot of them were in the same boat as we were in, but then you also were exposed to folks that used to be in that boat, but have now moved their business along. And I met Chris C. Cartwright as well, and him and his wife Nadine. And so we got to learn and meet a lot of great people and ask them questions, and
Yep.
just, it was extremely valuable. And so I think that, what I want to do almost right after we conclude is talk to Sarah about Trainual. I think that's definitely going to be super helpful. But but yeah, I also wanted to, so there was a couple of questions that I had prepared. I kind of try not to prepare too much. I try to let the discussion evolve. But given where you're at right now, if you could go back to about 3 years ago, or back to when you were first starting your business, what is some of the advice that you would tell yourself back in the 2007 days? What would you be doing differently?
Systems. Really, it's all about getting your systems together. If I could have started my systems earlier in the business, things would be super smooth by now. So I think just always having good systems in place.
Yeah, I think that is definitely, and they almost need a class on how to do systems, like how do you need a system for building systems, I think.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of what I was, when I was listening to the summit. What was it? The service summit that was just recently, I think it was last week or the week before.
Okay,
I was like, they were talking to Michael Gerber, and they were talking to a lot of, heavy hitting leaders in the industry. And I was like, well, that's great. I know I have to have systems. I just want to know how.
Exactly. But no,
What should
that's how I am too.
What should I start with? And so I think what Sarah and I have started asking ourselves is, what could we do today that our tomorrow selves will thank us for? And
it would be a training program. Get that system in place. That way, you could get your guys trained the way you want it, and then that will give you more freedom to work on other systems.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you, you were talking about your office staff. So one of the challenges that we're currently having is helping our office really understand the process of doing estimates over the phone, and using Responsibid and using Google Earth. Like, there's so many questions. Is that a French window I'm looking at, or is it not a French window? There's still a lot of questions. In other words, so we hire an office staff so that we can create a little bit more space for ourselves. But when the office staff is calling you almost as often as the clients are calling you, you go, okay, we got to work on something to where we're empowering them to, find their own answers. And I was just curious how you prepared your office staff for
so Tammy, she's been with me for going on 4 years now. She actually lives in Oregon. She doesn't even live close to us. She started off in our town, but we just gave her a cell phone and a laptop and said, you can work from home. We don't need an actual office. So yeah, she works in Oregon, and it's, at the beginning, you need to train them on, what windows are what, how your procedures go. And it's always a training process with them. Because we're really huge into Responsibid, we go to, so Kurt puts on a Responsicon now, and it's another conference just for Responsibid, and you guys should definitely take advantage of it, because it will allow you to learn and how to use Responsibid properly and awesome. So we actually take her to that every year now, so she can learn and get familiarized with those systems. And when she does call, if she starts calling and she's always asking all these questions, what we say is like, okay, Tammy, what would you do? How would you handle this? give her the option or give him the option of how they would handle the situation. And if it's the right way, just tell them like, that's exactly what I'll do. That's exactly what I would have done.
Right.
And let them kind of try to find that answer on their own. That way they feel confident. So when something like that pops up again, they're not going to call you again. They're going to be like, oh, I handled that properly. I could probably handle this. So it's just building up their confidence so they're not constantly calling you all the time.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, that's I think that's pretty powerful that you invite her to go to the conventions, and I think that we definitely want to make Responsicon next time. It's like where the rubber meets the road of your business. It's like you know, I think it's more of it's like a focus group where, okay, you've purchased this Ferrari, now here's how you drive it.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay, here's how you make the videos, here's how you design things, and that's what I think Sarah and I need to do next. I think that's really the big next step for us. We're still on the fence as to whether or not we want to attend this year's huge convention, just given the whole COVID-19 and everything. So we're still on the fence. If we do go, we would definitely be wearing face shields and all that stuff. But so as you got started in 2007, did you have any mentors that were kind of helping you, or was it a lot of friends, the person that you used to work with before? Who were some of your mentors?
So, like I said, when I started in Tahoe, I got my experience really fast. I think I learned how to fan like my first day or second day. And, my buddy who got me into it, he took me up the ladder right away, taught me how to use the stack ladder. And by the end of that summer, I know you're not allowed to go that high, but I was doing 6.5 pieces on a stack ladder. And, that was scary, and I'll never do it again. Right now I have 4.5 pieces, and I don't even like using that. I'm trying to get like Maya and get away from ladders and do more full work.
But it sounded like you took to it pretty quickly. Like,
yeah,
you're kind of introverted, right? You kind of mentioned that, and that you like to go places where it's peaceful. I mean, window cleaning it's peaceful. You get to go out and spend time outdoors and clean windows. I could totally see getting excited about that pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I thought it would be fun to take a little tour of your shed, and then hopefully take a look at your champion belt.
No, I definitely brought it, I guess. So yeah, my shed is in all honesty, you don't need a whole lot of fancy stuff to run a very successful window cleaning business. I'm as basic as I can be. Let's see, how do I flip this around? There you go. So this is the shed. It's
nice.
10 by 12. We got stepping stools, our water fed, leaf blowers, power washing equipment. This is our cool spin wheel.
Like it.
Yeah, we do this once a month. So this is based on their quality score. We got all their buckets.
Oh, cool. All
gas cans. Yeah, so this is something I started last year because they were having problems losing their tools. So now I know who's who, and if they lose a tool, then that affects their bonus, so they're not getting a bonus. So they fill that out once a week, and they got to make sure all their tools are accounted for. But it's in an RV boat storage yard. The guy has rented me, let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. He let me build a tough shed on it, and I pay like $70 a space. So my rent is really cheap. It's surveillance. So he has video cameras all over the place. And it's got a big giant gate that's key activated. So you have to enter a code to get in there. And yeah, he's found me. Fortunately, that's not my work truck, but we want to get one similar to that. But yeah, he's got me spots like pretty close to the shed, and that's Ollie right there, our team mascot.
What do you got out there on the board? What's that on that board there? Yeah.
This one here.
Yeah.
This is something new. So this actually affects their bonuses too. It's a client complaint. So when they get callbacks, I write it down on the board so they can see, and that way they know what happened and what they need to do next time they do a job and not get that client complaint or that callback.
I like that because, it reminds me that I don't necessarily have to be the one going out and fixing all the problems. Like that's kind of how that's been my attitude up until recently. And then I'm looking at my energy levels and I'm like, man, this is not sustainable. So recently we've been like, okay, like a customer found a clogged downspout. You get to go over there and do that first thing and handle that. And that's going to cut into so it really holds them accountable for making sure that they're doing the job correctly, and it frees up your valuable time too. So
yeah, I look at it so we can't take out of their pay for that. We don't pay commission, we pay hourly, but we do send them back even if it's overtime. I feel that sending them back to fix their mistakes, they're going to be a little embarrassed of it, having to explain to the client like, oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. And hopefully let them learn, like, I don't want to do this again. Like, because now they're working overtime. They want to go home. They're tired, and, they'll try to do a better job on the next one and not get that complaint. Plus that complaint affects their bonus, and then they don't get a bonus that week. And usually they get a $40 bonus just for quality, and then additional for other things.
So how do you use this? So you mentioned this earlier, you talked about this performance-based software and
quality-driven software.
Quality-driven QLS is what you said, right? Or QDS.
QDS, yeah.
So Sarah and I were talking about this, and she's like, what? I don't understand why we would offer a bonus for someone to do their job, but right now you're using the quality-driven software to basically guide your technicians to do the best job that they can. I'm just curious how it's working for you all.
It's great. We can tell by bad quality if somebody's not working great together. We could rearrange the trucks to different team members, and the quality scores show. So this is what they have to fill out every week. It's several questions. So worked every business day this week. Ravy happy clients. They need a quality score of 4.5 or higher. And that's quality-driven software will keep track of that. Counted for all their tools, no client complaints. They have to clean out their truck and toolbox. They have to keep it organized every day. And just for those, answering yes to all those questions, they get $40. If they showed up on time every day, we'll give them an extra $10. So that's $50 automatically if they can answer all of that for the week. And then down here we pay on reviews and team member referrals. So if they really like their job, they can refer their friends to them, because if I like them, that means they have friends that are somewhat similar to them, and we want to get those people on our team. So we'll pay that employee based on how long that team member has stayed with us. And one of my guys says he referred a friend, and he's been with me for almost a year now. And that team member got $250 bonus just for having him stay for 6 months.
Wow. And so what if they get below 4.5? How does that correct the behavior? I'm just curious, like what happens.
They don't get their bonus,
I
and
see.
it will just train them on wanting to do better for the following week. So, and how QDS works is, so after every job, the client receives a survey. It's not a survey that's going to go on Yelp or Google or anything like that. It's just our personal feedback, and it's a 5-star rating. So based on how many 5 stars they get, 100% if every single client leaves a 5-star. But as soon as those stars go down, that's when the percentage goes down. So that's why we keep it at 4.5, because these guys are actually amazing, and they get a lot of 5 stars. So they want their bonuses. They're going to do the best they can. And then the response rate, we want it 40%. That's them telling the clients, like, hey, at the end of each job, like you're going to get a survey with our pictures and letting us know like how we did. So please fill that out and send it back. So they're telling the clients, like, they're the ones getting the surveys.
So how did you feel after you implemented the QDS? I imagine it actually helped you to remove yourself from all the potential stress of having to constantly correct your team. Like, I know at some point I kind of start getting a little furious if I'm like constantly pointing fingers. It's no longer fun for me to constantly tell my team, hey, what's going on here? What's going on there? Why is this broken? Why is that missing? Imagine that this kind of helps to, lift that burden of having to do that.
Yeah. So pretty much when money's involved, they're going to do whatever they can to make that money. So if it's something that's going to affect them making extra cash, they're going to do their best to try to keep it. So, I want to pay these guys extra money so they do a good job. I don't want them not to get the bonus. So if they do have an issue with something and they didn't get the bonus, that gives me a chance and an opportunity to work with them and figure out how we could fix it for the following week.
Yeah. And how do your customers like it? Do they get sometimes annoyed by the questionnaires and all that, or?
No, I've never had any complaints from the surveys. It's usually the complaints I get are from the response bid follow-ups.
Really?
But
Yeah.
Those are the clients who don't want emails sent to them all the time. They already tell you at the beginning, like, I don't want a ton of emails. And other than that, I rarely get any complaints from any emails sent to them. And I think you could actually set it up to where it's text message as well.
So if you could go, so here's another kind of a interesting question. So if you could go to your future self, what kind of questions would you ask your future self, and perhaps tell us a little bit about where you'd like your business to be in the next 3 to 5 years?
God, I don't know what I would tell myself. I never think of the future. I always
Or
what
questions would you ask them? What questions would you ask your future self?
I honestly don't know. I looked at that question when you sent it to me. I was just like, I honestly don't know what I would ask myself. Like, I don't want to be a big giant business. I could see that in the future. I'm happy with my 3 trucks right now. I'm willing to go to 4. I see all these other companies who are like, oh, I'm multi-million-dollar business, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, well, how much headache do you have with that business?
Right.
I found that my comfort level is would be 4 trucks. That's our goal, is to we want this year, but probably by next year, get up to 4 trucks and just be happy with that. Because the more employees you have, the harder it gets. And we really love to travel, and I feel like if I have more than that, then it's going to keep me at work.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of that's a step that perhaps many entrepreneurs don't ask or go through, where they're actually asking themselves, what is my income goal? I mean, do you want 20 trucks on the road, or do you want 3 or 4 trucks on the road? And you like to travel. I think Sarah and I would definitely like to travel more. And I think that, knowing the answer to that question helps you to reverse engineer your business so that it fits your needs and helps you, achieve your goals. So that's pretty important to go. I don't even know if we've really talked about that so much, but I think that our goals are pretty similar, where I think, 3 to 4 trucks is about our goal as well. Because ultimately, I think you and Meaghan would agree, I think ultimately our goal is just flexibility. It's a little bit of financial freedom, so that we can travel and enjoy life, really.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're not money hungry. We enjoy working and being business owners. We're not in it for the money. We're like, I enjoy giving all these guys a chance to better their careers and actually make a life for them, because it's hard finding jobs nowadays. And if I could give some guys the opportunity, like offer them health insurance and give them a great career, like that makes me happy.
Yeah. So I also know that you and Meaghan participate in you actually give back as well. There's a couple of projects that you participate in, and one of them was in Africa relatively recently. What was that y'all did?
That's Meaghan's project.
Okay.
So she has created reusable menstrual pads for for girl students in Kenya or in Africa. So because when the girls, when they're on their periods, they don't go to school. They don't have anything to control it. So they had created this reusable pad, and she went to Kenya to teach them how to sew it themselves.
That's pretty
and she's
cool.
been working on this project for several years now. And
wow.
Yeah, she went there, and yeah, it was a blast. I didn't get to go, but we're hoping next year I'll go.
So where are some of the favorite places y'all have traveled recently?
Recently, well, fortunately, we were supposed to be in France all of May. That got canceled. But last year, we went to 2 weddings in France within 5 weeks. We did London in between that, and London was just a really cool place. Before that, I think it was Iceland. We did a 2-week little tiny mini camping van trip around Iceland.
That's cool.
And that was amazing. Probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever been.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Jeff, I wanted to thank you for taking the time to chat with us and
definitely
for sharing some insights. Do you have any questions for me? Do you have any, things that you wanted, other things that I didn't cover that you wanted to talk about before we conclude our conversation?
No, I just really appreciate this Facebook group, Into the Flow. It's I was off of Facebook for quite a while, and Meaghan told me, she's like, you should go back on and check out some of these groups. And I did pro window cleaning, and it was a great group for a minute, but then like people started making fun of people, and it was just like, that's boring. And then when Greg started Into the Flow, it was just like, oh, this is so much cooler. And like people are actually here to help each other and give pointers and feedback and not hurt one another. And I just really appreciated that. And I'm just glad I could be part of it. And it's really cool that you guys started this podcast, and it's just great.
Yeah. Well, I can't think of a better way to conclude this conversation. I think Sarah and I are going to start looking at Trainual, and I might be picking your brain a little bit later on that. But tell Meaghan hello. Sarah and I look up to y'all. We way look up to y'all. I would love for either of you to, we always benefit from y'all participating on ITF. I mean, it's just a lot of good information, a lot of good sharing, and we're the same way. We tried some of the other Facebook groups, and it did feel a lot like the tendency was for people to tear people down instead of build people up. And at some point in my life, I might have had energy for that, but now it's like, I just have energy for positive things, really. And so
exactly.
I really appreciate the group, and I appreciate y'all participating in the group. And I'm probably going to be bothering you all a little bit to help us get our systems in order, because we're still working on several of the systems that we've discussed. So, but it was great chatting with you, Jeff. It was cool to see your shed. I've got some new ideas for myself. I'm probably going to start calling some of the RV shops nearby and see if I can work out a similar deal. But
yeah, it's you don't need a whole lot to run a good business. It's you just need a place to store your tools, basically, and have all the guys, they park on the street and everything's just right here. It's definitely changed. We've been here, I think we're going on 3 years now.
It's a pretty cool setup. It's a pretty cool setup.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Enjoy the rest of your week. Sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Like I said, you should definitely look into the Responsicon. You can definitely get a lot of learning and information from that convention. And it reminds me of End of the Flow. People are there just to help people out. So if you really want to get serious into Responsibit, I'd highly suggest looking into that.
Are they going to have it the same time? It's annual, right? Is it in February? Is it February every year?
It's January, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, there might be some conflicting issues with IWCA. I think it kind of runs with each other. I don't know if he rescheduled it to a later date, but yeah, I think there was some issue on that.
Yeah, I remember that they were occurring so back to back that we picked one, but where we're at right now, I definitely think that we if that's definitely the one thing we would still want to make sure is on our schedule this year. I think that's going to get us the most distance in terms of where we want to be in the business. So, but anyway. But
yeah, please feel free to pick our brains.
I will.
We're here to help, and we'll share anything for you guys.
I'll take you up on that for sure. Well, y'all enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and thanks again for chatting with us, Jeff. We appreciate it.
Definitely. Have a great evening.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye.